My great-grandfather ran the plantation for a while, and he hired another black guy who was fired from a different plantation. And so the white people came over and told my great-grandfather, you cannot hire him, let him go. And my great-grandfather said, no, I'm not going to let him go. I'm going to keep him. And so they came back later and tried to kill him, my great-grandfather. But he had a gun under the bed. And so he was able to get his gun and he ran them off, right? I am Second Amendment all the way. I mean, I have a rip up this Second Amendment, don't touch my gun. And so he ran them off, and then he came back again, and his wife had taken the gun, removed the gun from under the bed. And so they were able to kill my great-grandfather. And I share that story because in spite of all that, we were taught there are good people and there are bad people. They never used the word racism at all. There's good and there's evil. And so it wasn't until the civil rights movement started that they made up this word racism. And they did it to control. But when I was growing up, we were taught there were good people and there was bad people. Even when they had the Jim Crow laws, we were told it wasn't all white people. It's the government. And at that time, it was the Democratic government doing that. They created those laws, and they said all white people are not for this. But that all changed once they started the civil rights movement. The government came in and became the daddy of the family. The man left his home. The government became the daddy, and then the so-called civil rights leader took over. It's just been downhill. I read a report in the Washington Examiner the other day that says that black women who are born in America, 77% of their children are born out of wedlock. 77%. Just amazing. It's just imagine what's going to happen to this country with these kids. We see how bad it is already when you're born out of wedlock. Imagine what's going to happen as they get older if we don't change this. Black Americans didn't have that hatred in their hearts because they loved what was right. They got married for the most part. They respected one another. We were taught to work hard. It wasn't about government or anything, working and doing for yourself. That all changed. And so when I read the scriptures, it says that we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against spirits and principalities and wickedness and evil in high places. It's not a physical battle. It is a spiritual battle. And if you doubt me, get to know yourself. You'll see the warfare that you're having within yourself is a battle between good and evil. It has nothing to do with anyone else. And so we are teaching that now. When I first started telling them that racism does not exist, that is a lie, it's been made up in order to control, all hell broke loose. They called me Uncle Tom, sellout, the N-word. You hate your mama, you hate your color, you hate yourself. But I don't care what the children of the lie think. I love what's right with all my heart, soul, and might. I often tell people that I am not an African American. I don't have an afro, I have an Amerifro. There are no African drums beating in my chest. The American guitar playing in my heart. As black as the ace of spades. If you turn these lights out, I'll disappear. But 100% American. I thank God that my mother had me in Alabama on that plantation. Because I don't have to come here by application. I don't have to sneak across the borders. I was born here. And I refuse to show my appreciation for my country. Because, first of all, God allowed it. And there are people who died that we may be free in this country. Change those laws. And so I'm not going to be complaining. I'm grateful. And I want you to do the same thing. I want to urge you to get over the fear. This is our time. This is our moment to stand up and start fighting back. Speak up. Just don't be angry. Because when you become angry, they control you. That's why they call you names. Because if they can get you mad, then they can control you. Speak up, but don't be angry. And I used to have anger. And long story short, I went to God and I asked him to let me see what was wrong. How come? Because with this anger, I had fear, doubt, worries, insecurity. I didn't know what I wanted to do in life. I was blaming the world for my issues, right? And God allowed me to see that I resented my mother, who tried to turn me away from my father. And the worst thing that can happen to children, boys and girls, is to turn them away from their fathers. Because when you turn them away from their fathers, you leave a void in their lives, an emptiness. And it doesn't matter how much money you have, where you live, where your friends are, nothing physical can fulfill that void. And so a lot of these kids end up on drugs, they become alcoholics, they become liars and murderers and thieves because they're trying to fulfill that emptiness which only the love of a father can fulfill. And so my mother tried to turn me away from him, and I resented her for that. And as you know, when you resent someone, you become like who you resent. And so you take on their identity and you lose your own personality. Have anyone here ever thought to yourself, wow, I'm just like my mother? See? And they're like, I don't want to be like my mother, I want to be me. Have you ever wondered why you're just like your mother? Like, how did you become like your mother?
I hope every day I am like my mother.
You do? It's better being you. Really, it's better. You want the principles and the values of your parents, right?
Yeah.
But you want your own identity. It works better when you are yourself. And our parents are supposed to be like a living example, living right, dealing with issues right, dealing with one another right. So when we're growing up, we can see how to deal that way. But when you become someone else, you lose yourself. It's better being you. So when I forgave my mother and my father, God forgave me, and He took that spirit away from me, the spirit of anger, and He gave me perfect peace. And I am me. I am not my parents. I am absolutely me, and there's nothing like being me. But really, I have perfect peace. I love my parents. My mother and I became very close, and I have other brothers and sisters. I had 5 brothers, but 3 have died, and I have 7 sisters. My parents had babies. My parents had babies until God said stop. I have one aunt, she and her husband have like 17 to 18 kids. Yeah. And this was during the Jim Crow era. They owned their own land. Their kids did not have to work the cotton field because they were very independent. And all of their kids graduated from college. All of them. And that was supposed to be the hard times, right? Yeah. But because of the values and principles, they sent their kids to school because the kids knew how to work hard. They respected their parents. They respected other people. They have done very well in school. And those were the good old days. So I want to urge you, don't be angry. And I want you to pay attention because the children of the lie, they don't have real power. That's why they have to call you a name first. They call you racist, they call you this, they say you hate, they tell men that men hate women, they tell the whites they hate the blacks, and if they can get you angry, they can control you. Because they only have the power to call you names, to weaken you. But we have God on our side, we have the truth. And as long as we are putting the truth out there, we cannot lose. And the president is a perfect example of that. He tells the truth. He called it as it is. Crooked line Hillary. And every time you see Hillary Clinton, don't you think crooked line Hillary? Right, you call it as it is, then the world can see what's going on. And so we have this chance, and they're trying to turn us away from the president. They're coming up with all this stuff all the time. The Russian thing, that's been going on for a whole year. They haven't found anything. If anything happened, they're exposing themselves. How crooked they were, and what they were doing with Russia and all that stuff, right? But that's how the truth is supposed to work. The truth shines the light on the darkness. It shines the light on the lie, and this president is doing it. This is the greatest country in the world. This is the greatest country on this side of heaven. We got to stand up and fight for it. It doesn't come easy. And it's worth fighting for as men and women of God. Our battle is spiritual. I have no fear. None. When I had the anger, I had the fear. But when He took the anger away, He gave me perfect peace. And I have no fear. I love what's right. I stand up for what is right. And we have been able to influence so many, especially black men, but all men around the world. I started an organization called Bond, the Brotherhood Organization of a New Destiny, and we are rebuilding the family by rebuilding the man. We're bringing back God's order of God in Christ, Christ in man, man over woman, and woman over children. It's a spiritual order, and men should not be in competition with women, and women should not be in competition with men. It's a spiritual order. But when they can remove that man from the family, then hell can come in and take over the women and children. Yes. I saw that happen with black Americans. They took the fathers out of the home, or the fathers left and let the government take over, and it's just been downhill ever since. And they're trying to do the same thing with the white man. They call the white man racist. They say he hates women, he hates the blacks, he hates the Mexicans, he hates everybody and their mama, right? And, and if they can turn the white man family away from him, they can take over the women and children, and it's over for us. It's over. If the white man gives up his family and stop leading the way, it's over for the country. Socialism will come in completely and take over. That's what happened to the black family. And this president and white men like that, they hate this president because he is a white, male, conservative, heterosexual, Christian man of power. And it's like the enemy of the people on the line. They hate that kind of man. And they're trying to destroy him. And they hate him because they hate their fathers. They hate men, period. And if they can get rid of President Trump, they'll work on Vice President Pence, and they can get rid of those men who are standing for what is right, they can take over. I'm telling you folks, it is over. And if you doubt me, look at the black community. The men are no good. They're weak. It wasn't like that when I was growing up. They're weak. They're afraid. They look to the women to take care of them. They're in jail. They're committing crimes. They're out of control because they didn't have that father to guide them. They did not have that. It takes a father and a mother. That's why God made man and woman. It takes both of them to be there and be that example. And they didn't have it. And that's what they're trying to do to the white man right now. So I want you to know that so that you can speak up about it. So what we have done this month is our 28th year of my nonprofit. And we tutor, we counsel, we help find jobs. But the primary thing is that we show these guys how to forgive. Forgive their parents. They've done the best that they can do. And when they forgive, then God forgive them. And He take away that spirit of anger and give them the spirit of love. And then they feel better. 100% better. We have an entrepreneur academy within Bond where we're teaching young men ages 15 and up how to start businesses. We bring in businessmen who are retired from businesses or still in business, and they answer all the questions for the guys. But the guys do the work. We have one young man who started last year in the program, and this June, he's opening up his own business. He's looking for a building now, and he's 27 years old. He started his own business, came from a single parent home, of course. And this guy got over his anger. He's so smart. He loves to work hard. He's now starting his own business. We got that going. We also have a credit union in Bond. We went out and raised some money and started a credit union so that we can loan them the money because they don't have credit, they don't know how to manage things. So we loan them the money and then they pay back with interest so we can keep it going. And I have to tell you, amazing things are happening. And we have not gotten one dime from the government, nor have we asked for a dime from the government. And that's government. We're encouraging them to get married before having children because they see how difficult it's been for them, and so they're dating in the right way. They're waiting to get married before repeating the same cycle. But once they have that anger out of their heart, it's easy to start living right, to keep the commandments because you're controlled by what is right rather than the spirit of anger. And it's just been absolutely amazing. And I want to thank you all too because you have made it possible as well. You have donated to our organization. You pray for us. You have us here. And every dime we get goes back into the organization. So I want to personally thank you for that. These are good times right now. Anytime God heals a nation, it's going to look like it's falling apart, right? But it's really being built up. He's like cleaning up the mess and bringing in the new. So that's what's happening right now. Let the children of the lie run crazy. Let them be angry. Let them scream and carry on. That will let you know that we are winning. When they become happy, then we need to worry. But right now we are winning. And it's not about the physical, it's a spiritual battle. And children of God should know this. Do not repeat what they say. If they want to call it racism, let them call it. You say no. It's right or wrong. It's good or evil. It's not about your color. I don't care what color you are. Is this right or is it wrong? And I promise you, when we start speaking the truth to that, things will start to change. It's just great. Don't be afraid. We got to get this president elected another time. He has to be there 8 years. And then once he's gone, we have to bring Donald Trump Jr. in. And then once he is gone, we have to bring Donald Trump Jr. the third. Yeah. We have to keep it going. So let's stand up. Don't be afraid. Speak up. Just don't be angry. All right? It has nothing to do with color. I want to take some questions now. Yes, ma'am.
I do thank God for Trump, but I'm going to thank him for you too.
Thank you. Ask me anything you want to know. Yes, ma'am. We're in the back.
What station are you on?
Oh, thanks for asking. So I'm walking down the road, and all of a sudden I get this call from Newsmax TV. Are you familiar with them? Yeah. And so I'm on Newsmax TV Monday through Friday from 6 to 7 a.m. And we're in over 50 million homes around the country. 50 million homes. Everybody and their mama listening. And calling in. Also,
AM station?
it's on, go to jlptalk.com and everything is listed there.
Okay.
Yeah, jlptalk.com. You got, if you have Direct TV or Dish Network, AT&T,
Direct TV.
yeah, Direct TV, all that, you can turn on your TV in the mornings or record it and you can watch it. And you can call in. It's so amazing. And you're going to see the people calling up, calling me names and yelling at me. And it's so much fun. It is so much fun. And I say this because I want you to know, if you let that anger go, life becomes easy. Because God is with you. And when the enemy come after you, it's no big deal. You fight them with truth. You fight them with the power of love that comes from God. So I want you to check it out, Newsmax TV, all right? And tell all the snowflakes and the safe spacers and everybody about it. Yes, ma'am.
Are we still busing children from one end of town to the other?
Yeah, unfortunately.
We are still.
Yeah. No, it's still, they go to Beverly Hills and different high schools around. I don't think it's mandatory anymore, but it's still happening. Yeah. It's unfortunate too.
That they wanted to put me in jail because I refused to do it.
That's right. Absolutely. I want to stay home and go to school. Yeah, absolutely right. Yes, sir.
I was going to say, since Lyndon Johnson's Great Society, the welfare programs have been set up so that if there is no father in the home,
Right.
the mother gets more money.
Yes.
And so it encourages single-family mothers and children so they can get more money.
Yes.
Is there any way of promoting a change to that whereby more money would come in if there was a father in the home?
More money from the government?
I'm just saying change the program. So
We
that
don't
there-
want money from the government like that. What happens when you get free stuff like that, it spoils you.
That's right.
It takes away your desire to do for yourself. We want it back to normal where fathers and mothers are together, the father's working, and if the mother has to go to school, you can be home with the kids, and otherwise you want to go to work again, but be home with the kids. And the parents are teaching the children how to work and be responsible.
Well, that's the ideal.
So-
get to that.
Yeah.
But how do you get from where we are now to that ideal?
To
Jobs, new jobs.
make
from
sure
Trump.
that, let them know that, okay, we might help you with the first job, maybe, but you still have to work. And if you have another one, you're on your own. Just make it work, even while they're getting the money. If a woman has children out of wedlock, while she's getting the money, she needs to be working as well. And then need to be like a cutoff period, knowing that eventually you won't get any money. Things will start to change that way. But I heard this morning that the president has an answer to that. He's going to create box lunch or something like that, right? He's going to put the food in a box, and then you have to go pick it up rather than getting food stamps. Isn't that amazing? This man is so smart, I can't stand it.
It's not food stamps anymore, it's an ETV card.
Right, well, they won't get that. If what he's trying to do, they won't get that anymore. They'll get the food in a box. And maybe while they're out picking up the food, they'll find a job. The thing I like about this president, too, he's putting the country first. I don't know when the last time the government has put America first. You know, it reminds me of men who get married, they have a bunch of children, and then they leave their wives and go marry another woman who already has children, rather than putting their families first. This president is putting the family, we the people, first, and I'm loving that. So he's going to have it, and with our help, of course. It really will. Yes, ma'am.
I know you're very busy in Los Angeles. How are you doing in your outreach to places like Chicago, where Obama and his ilk are controlling Chicago?
Good question. God is good. We are counseling with men and women around the world. We counsel with men and women from Russia, from England, from Africa, from Canada, from Chicago. We get men and women calling us up, talking about this anger that they have and how to overcome it by forgiving. We help them find jobs and things like that. So we're working with men and women around the world, especially with men, because when we can get the men to turn back to God, then things will start to change. But the message, we are a national organization, and by me having this radio show and being on Newsmax now, we're reaching everybody in every corner. We had a guy who grew up on the south side of Chicago, and he had a horrible life growing up, and we have it on our YouTube channel. And he heard me talk about forgiveness, forgiving his parents and dropping that anger. And once he dropped that anger, his whole life started to change just like that. And he gave us a great testimony. He called on the show one day, and it was just absolutely amazing. He understood that it never been about his race, but the destruction of his family. You know, born out of wedlock, he had all this anger. He told us that he never thought that he can overcome anger. He thought his life was just over. But once he forgave, everything changed for him. So we're reaching, and I do a lot of public speaking and holding meetings around the country. We're very, very busy doing that, getting the word out. That's why I love truth, because the enemy can't stop you when you're a man or woman of truth. When you don't have the fear, you stand up for what is right, you cannot be stopped. It's just so amazing. I want you to stand up.